Tyler, I don't know if you want to. Obviously, Tyler watches all the new releases.
Everything.
Yeah, he had a crazy week.
Do you want to touch on them now, or do you want to touch on them in the what we've been watching? It's completely up to you.
I'll touch on the new releases now. Yeah, I'll do just like and what I've been watching. I'll do like the stuff that isn't stuff that just came out, and then this I'll quickly go through the stuff that came out in theaters. So,
wasn't all of it ass?
No,
the Bollywood
not
film.
at all.
Cam.
I gave it 4. I gave it 3.5. Like, there's a couple ass, but
you started with 1.5.
Well, I started with the 1,
that?
and that was for Sweetwater.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a weird movie, man. It's about the first black man who enters the NBA. He comes from the Harlem Globetrotters and New York Knicks, like, sign him over. And it's called Sweetwater because that was his nickname. So there's like a biopic about him. But it's just a weird movie. Like, it obviously tackles the racism at the time, but it was directed and written by a white guy. And you can tell. Really. Like, I literally looked at the movie and I'm like, there's no way. Like, this has to be a white guy. Because this movie's like a biopic about him, but it's literally like ends up all being about the white owner of the Knicks who's like so brave for taking a chance on him, and like so little about like what this guy had to go through. I was like, this is really uncomfortable. It's like making me uncomfortable how like rose-colored glasses they made it for. They made it like just seem like it was a minor inconvenience for all like the racism he had to go through, and they made it seem like it was like world-ending stuff for this guy to like on the Knicks to like take a chance on him. I'm like, this is like, don't name it Sweetwater, then name it like Knickerbockers, or like name it like the name of the team. Like, this isn't about this dude at all. And then that was fine. And then Big George Foreman. Listen, like, this movie had a lot going against it, because for me, sports movies are hard to make good. Religious movies are even harder to make good, and this is both of them. And I think those are like two, like, I just think Christian movies normally just kind of stink. Sports movies hard to make good. And this movie's executive produced by George Foreman, and you can tell. Like, this is like,
bro,
again,
just like
he could do no wrong. Like, everything he's ever done in his life was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just like everything he does, he's a god. But it was fine. Like, I genuinely really enjoyed the first hour. The actor here, he deserves to get his name shout out. Chris Davis, who plays George Foreman, he did great, and like he destroyed his body for this role. Like, he got super jacked. And then, like, George Foreman gets super fat, like, later in his career when he becomes a pastor. So, like, Chris Davis, like, literally in real life, got super jacked for this role and then put on 50 pounds. And, like, so, like, everything in his movie, like he genuinely in the movie, he looks insane, like, jagged. And then he looks, like, truly fat. And it's, like, no suits or anything. Like, it's his own body that he just, like
Robert
changed.
De Niro in Raging Bull.
Right, yeah. It's foreshadowing to our real quick review.
Yeah.
But yeah, Big George Foreman's fine. I saw, shout out Josiah Coops, because he really liked it, and I like loved his review, because he was like one of the first people who saw it, and he's like, I think everyone hates this, but I loved it, and I gave it a 4-star. I'm like, oh, good for you. So he enjoyed it. If anyone cares about his opinion, which you should, Josiah really liked it. And then Polite Society, it's like, if you didn't like Everything Everywhere All at Once, I don't think you'd love this, because it's got a lot of not only the same action style, but a lot of the same comedy. Like, a lot of the jokes like are very similar to that style. But this movie's like, it's like Everything Everywhere All at Once mixed with like Scott Pilgrim versus the World mixed with like,
I've heard a lot of Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, mixed with like Get Out. Yeah. Like, it's like a lot more dystopian and dark than I expected it to be. But it was fun. Like, I genuinely didn't expect to like it as much as I did. There was no one in my theater at all for it on like primetime opening night. So this movie's probably gonna be a rest in peace at the box office. But I had a lot of fun with it. So if you need a movie to watch, looking to go to the theaters, because like we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, this week's been like the driest week for releases probably since we started the ReelTok Podcast. In terms of like, a lot of movies came out this week, but like nothing that, you know, a lot of people are going to see. So if you're itching to go to the theater, go check out Polite Society. And then 2 more new releases. So Sisu, pretty freaking gnarly, man. Like, it's a World War II movie about basically the guy, his name is Carmi, and he's a gold miner. And basically, like, this is like the first like 2 minutes of the movie. So this isn't a plot. So basically, he's a gold miner in the middle of like the war, World War II, and the Nazis are like basically coming close to his farm. He strikes it big with a bunch of gold, gets a ton of gold nuggets, and throws it in his bag. And basically, he has to try to get out of there before like the Nazis take over his territory, and you know, obviously would like rob everything from him, kill him, take all his stuff. So he's like, I got all this gold. I need to get to like civilization in a bank and cash in and make it big. So then he goes on this journey trying to get civilization, because he's in the middle of nowhere, encounters a lot of Nazis, and this movie's literally like John Wick meets Inglourious Bastards, and it's like John Wick but way more gnarly, like so gruesome. Yeah. There's so many kills in this that are just disgusting, like in the best of ways. And like so much classic, like he gets shrapnel or bullets in him that like then he like does surgery on himself and you get like the inside look at him, you know, just digging around his body. And you're like, man, this is a gnarly movie. Like there's so many old people in my theater because this is like a World War II movie, and I just think they got the wrong message for what type of movie this is, because this is just a classic like one man versus the world, like killing his way to society. And it's not a true story or anything. It's like just a legend made up. But I think a lot of people thought for some reason like, oh, World War II movie, I'm going to go watch the next Saving Private Ryan, and that is not Sisu. But yeah, had a lot of fun with it. It's the type of movie like that if you are not a fan of movies that are unrealistic or have some moments where it's like too much plot armor, like just don't even think about seeing this movie. But that's John Wick, that's Mission Impossible. So if you're like a fan of all those, and you're kind of already able to suspend your disbelief, so solid movie. And then last one, Somewhere in Queens, Ray Romano's directorial debut. It's getting like pretty good ratings overall. Like on Letterboxd, it's 3.5, so nothing crazy, but I didn't love it. It's a 2-star for me. I decided he tried to accomplish too much and didn't really do too well at it, but it's a wild plot. Basically, his son. It's called Somewhere in Queens.
No, like, is it a rom-com or?
It's a drama comedy. So the plot's kind of like wild. So basically, his son's a high school basketball player, and he like is really good and gets a scholarship offer to go to Drexel. But he has to like try out to make the team to get like the final scholarship slot. And then his girlfriend breaks up with him. So there's like the whole plot of the movie. And then he just starts playing really ass. Like he's just not good at basketball. So then Ray Romano.
Like High School Musical.
It literally is. It literally is High School Musical, except instead of singing, there's no singing. So like, and none of you are gonna see this movie, and I'm not gonna spoil it anyways. So like his son starts sucking at basketball. So then Ray Romano like goes to like the girl who broke up with him and says, "Hey, I'll buy you a brand new car if you just date my son until tryouts are over." So then she starts dating his son. Like Ray Romano's already like making her be a prostitute just so he can make the basketball team. And then of course like the son finds out, and then the son's like, I'm not going to play basketball, Dad. Because the reason she broke up with him is because he read her a poem he wrote, and she's like, nah, this is just not it for me, so I'm breaking up with you. And his true passion in life was poetry, so it literally is High School Musical, but
High School Musical.
No singing. Because then that final ending of the movie is like they're going to college to see their son. It's like, oh, is he playing basketball? It's like, no, he's reading a slam poetry.
Yeah. This is like one of those things where Ray Romano's like, you got to go see this movie, everyone. If you want something original in Hollywood, this is it. And it's like, no, you just stole it from High School Musical, but you're claiming it.
This is going to be Josiah's #1 movie of the year.
Yeah.
I would have loved if he didn't do basketball and he made it some like if he made it like some different sport, and he's like, yeah, no, it's completely different, everyone. This is not the same. And
his comic brother, or like in the movie, his brother's played by Sebastian Maniscalco. I'm sure they're just friends because they're both like comedians. And Sebastian Maniscalco has that movie with Robert De Niro coming out too. That's like a comedy in a couple weeks. So it's like, he's a comedic actor, but in this movie, he's like literally pure drama. Like I don't think he has a single joke or comedy. It's like I just want to know what Sebastian Maniscalco is like trying to do, because I love his stand-up. I think he's like a hilarious guy, but he's like being in more movies now because he was in The Irishman as well. So I'm like, what are you kind of trying to do? Like, are you trying to be serious, or are you just trying to go with the comedy? A little like unsure about him.
Even in The Irishman, he had like a comedic role. Like he was like a hard ass, but like he was dropping like little clips here and there. Right. Yeah, he was in Green Book too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess he's trying to make it. He's clearly trying to make it as an actor, because I think he's like I don't think he's directing the movie coming out, but he might be producing. Because I think he's like he's his own name in it. I think he's playing Sebastian Maniscalco in the movie, and Robert De Niro is supposed to be like his dad. So I don't know. I'll go see it, but yeah, he's an interesting actor to me. I don't know if I love him, but those are all the new releases I've seen.